This should be played at high volume.
This is the podcast of beats, and their whole team is complete. They feeding the streets, other people can't compete. Shit, you got Carlo, got Kenny, got Papa, got Uncle. You cannot forget Malik, and you got Ski. Yeah, the whole roster elite. They bringing the heat every week.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Same Convo, the podcast where we talk everything sports, anime, media, and entertainment. It's your boys Kenny, Carlo, and Bamba. And as you can see, today we got a very, very, very special guest. We got that boy, Dracula D Rage. Thank you so much for joining us, man. How you feeling?
Shoot, I'm feeling great. It feels good to be on the podcast. I appreciate you guys for having me up here.
Yes, sir. It's a pleasure to have you on, man. I'm hella excited for today's episode. Clearly, we're talking about One Piece. More so, I would say we're talking about a theory piece. But before we dive deep into the manga and the reason why we got that boy Dracula here today with us, I want us to start with the anime, you feel me? Last time we had a theory piece, we tried to talk about the things that we're excited to see animated from Egghead, you feel me? And I feel like all of those things have come to pass. So I just wanted to start. What have been your favorite part from like Egghead so far? Dracula, I'm gonna start with you. You feel me? Like as far as the anime only.
Oh man, anime only. Shoot, I would have to say, getting into Kuma's backstory as we've seen it so far. Outside of that, I would probably say, whenever we seen Lelouchia, because I mean, shoot, I have something for that. But I mean, outside of that, I'm just excited to see how they're really gonna, keep going forward with Kuma's backstory and those different types of things.
Nah, that joint is fire, man. I mean, I was ready for the tears. It's delivering. Like, it's hard to watch that and not cry, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Carlo, what's yours?
As far as what you said, the question is things that we've seen animated that we like so far.
Yeah, because you remember we were talking about the things that we're excited to see animated because we had seen the manga before they took a break or whatnot. So I feel like as far as the stuff that we talked about, everything came out already. You feel me?
Facts. No, I will also say Kuma's backstory, the start of it, and then I will say, because I remember what I actually said, and then I got animated. I enjoyed it. Luffy versus Lucci. Luffy versus Lucci.
Okay.
Oh, Lucci. Yeah.
Because anybody that knows me and been watching this for a while, I constantly say that Enies Lobby is my favorite part of the series, and a big reason is that is because of the Luffy and Lucci fight. And so just seeing fast forward Egghead Island, let's go at it again, even though this time is like you can argue that it really wasn't a fight, but it was just cool to see it animated, so I love that.
Okay. Kenny, take a break from the manga.
All right, what was the question?
I was just asking, what has been your favorite part that's been animated so far as Egghead?
Egghead?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go Luffy versus Lucci.
Damn, y'all love that fight.
Yeah, Luffy versus Lucci. I'm saying that because I haven't seen. So once they came back from break, I haven't seen the second half of Egghead yet, and I haven't seen the animated yet. So I know everybody's been talking about the Kizaru fight with Luffy. I've only seen a clip of it. I haven't seen it yet. I've been taking my time on One Piece for right now. I'm waiting on One Piece and I'm waiting on Fire Force so I can just binge it. So I haven't watched any of the Fire Force.
Are you a Fire Force fan too, Dracula?
Shoot, that's my number one.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't watched a single episode of season 2 of Fire Force yet, so I can watch a bunch of them at once. But yeah, that's my favorite.
Yes, sir. Say less. I mean, I love the Rob Lucci fight, but me personally, bro, that Kizaru fight was just the next level, bro. That animation, this man is so raw.
It was
this man
crazy.
Is saucy. This man is drippy. Like the way he just was flying over the water and just beamed that shit. I was fanboying mad hard. I couldn't keep up. It's crazy.
Kizaru was moving different that chapter, man.
I'm telling you, got a grown man like me over here fanboying. Crazy.
Okay, I'm at the part in the manga. Robin got a new ability.
You said Robin?
Yeah, she can make a whole body now.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, hey, kind of got a hit with like against Black Mario. You feel me? But so without further ado, man, let's get into the manga. Like I was saying, picking up from the last episode we did on Theory Piece, one of the biggest reveal we had at the time was the introduction of Shamrock. You feel me? There had been a lot of theories about his actual identity, whether he was a clone, whether that was Shanks' brother, and now we actually got the confirmation that it is Shanks' actual older twin brother. You feel me? And this man is OP. Got a mythical zone sword, Cerberus. I've never seen like that. The man that we were getting hyped up in Loki just coming is beaten and battered by this man's sword, and he left. I'm just like, what is going on with the story? So, I mean, your reaction, Carlo and Kenny, to Shamrock, and are you surprised by anything that's happened? Especially like the confirmation. We were talking about Shanks possibly living in Mary Joy, and we got that confirmation. So, anything you're building up from that?
I think I think it was crazy to get the confirmation because you like golly, like after because one of the biggest theories building up to that, from previous chapters is that one shot when he met the girl say, and everybody noticed like on bat, like they're not showing his scars for on purpose, this, that, and the third. And so when you fast forward to the moment and Shamrock is revealed, it's like, oh shit, like that's insane. But that also tells me that One Piece is never ending because we have to go through a whole backstory. It's
That's it
like
over.
Shanks is one of the most complex characters that we barely get to see in the whole series. Like,
Thanks.
I think the most we saw him fight was in a movie with his daughter, and it was barely anything. And so it's just it just one it I was crazily shocked. And it just made me happy to anticipate because like who of that has to be a final battle. Shanks versus brother, that has to be a fight, right? Like, and so that just
Mm.
gets me anticipated for the future. But it's like I just know, bro, we're going to be 35, 40, and this shit is still going on
He said
because
35
I
and
feel like
40.
it's like because people keep saying like this has to be the final run for Oda, this has to be the final run for One Piece, but it's like you get things like that, and it's just still so much more you have to go and like tell us about. So much story that you have to build around, all these characters that are getting introduced. I mean, Gunko, for example, but this is about Shamrock. We can get to that later. It's
We'll
about
get to we'll
Shamrock.
get to her. We'll get
And
to her in a bit.
we'll get to
We'll
her
get
in
to
a
her.
bit. So, but yeah, bro, that's me. Surprised. I'm happy. I'm ready for the ride.
Hell yeah. So Dracula, I know you got some crazy shit building up in your head as far as like Shamrock and where it goes from here, but just give me your initial reaction when you first got the confirmation about him and his relationship with Shanks, man.
So my initial reaction was necessarily like, okay, so they pretty much work off of like essentially like he was like pretty much trying to like frame Shanks in the situation of like, oh, we're assuming that this is all Shanks. So pretty much it was like a smokescreen essentially for like what Oda was
Mhm.
pretty much building up with the Holy Knights and whatnot. So it was pretty dope to see that. Like one, it wasn't Shanks because I rock with Shanks. But like that was pretty much my initial thoughts of it.
Okay, okay. Kenny, you ready for this one?
What is the question? I just finished reading. I'm caught up now. I'm caught up.
Okay, okay. Almost.
Almost.
I told you, spoilers coming up soon.
Okay, what was the question, Baba?
I was saying, as far as just like Shamrock and you know, just his your original reaction, and also the things that we talked about us last time. As far as relationship with Shanks, what are you building up from it?
I need more, like Carleo said. Like from One Piece, the movie to the show, we've only seen him attack twice. But not
Mm-hmm.
even attack. We've seen him do the Wi-Fi hockey. He loves doing that. And we've seen one divine departure. So I mean, for all this hype to be around Shanks, he 1v1 Blackbeard, he 1v1 Kaido. He's fighting all these heavy hitters and living to tell the tale. Can we see it? I'm tired of all these off-screen fights.
Mm.
But so yeah. And then when it comes to his brother, I feel like we've never seen a mythical Zoan sword, but if you remember, I don't know what arc that was, but dude had like his was it like it was another sword that like it was like a fucking dog or something.
Oh,
Cerberus, yeah.
you're talking about the elephant in Water 7. You're talking about Spandam in specific.
Mm.
Yeah. And then there was something else like it was a gun. It was like a cannon or something. He was fighting.
Oh,
It was
yeah. Dog that
Usopp
ate
was
the
fighting him.
king.
Oh,
Wasn't
that was
there a
in
shield
Alabasta.
too?
Yeah, there was Alabasta. So you're talking about like the dog that was in Alabasta, essentially. So
Yeah.
like it was like a dog that pretty much was like a bomb also, or a bomb that was turned into a dog, rather. My fault.
Yeah, so we've seen that happen before. We just never put it on the scale of a mythical Zoan fruit type. I'm trying to figure out how the inanimate object even eats the fruit though. But
Vagabond.
I mean, I can answer
Yes,
that.
sir. Please.
Please.
All right, so whenever it comes down to like inanimate object, essentially, like we only usually see it with swords or something that actually has another will within inside it. So whenever it comes to like a Zoan, it's only going to be Zoans in specific because they actually have wills. Whenever it comes to like a sword, which is obviously something that has a will, that's also why we see certain people with ring dyes, such as like Mihawk in like certain cases, right? Or also you can look at Cavendish with Hakuba in those regards. So it's just Zoans, and then it has to have like a sword or something, or like a ship, because Clobotomans are actually the will of the ship. So a ship could also get devil fruit as well.
how does it eat it?
So it's through the regard of like, so say you like stab the devil fruit, right? So both of those wills are going to be combined. So that would essentially be in that regard. Whenever it comes to like, say like a ship, it would have to be through like, say like an access point. So say like the helm of the ship or something of regards in that.
Okay. All right. All right.
Yeah, that does explain also why like the first person that eats the devil fruit kind of gets it because it's just like a bite. That's the only thing different than that
Wait,
makes
so do
sense.
y'all think Zoro could get a devil fruit in his sword? He can get one in Emma.
No, it's possible. It's definitely possible. Shoot, I would definitely say I don't think it would be necessarily a devil fruit. I don't know which one he would get, but I think that he's gonna get ring dyes like Mihawk though. But shoot.
Hmm.
Well,
Hmm.
so for me personally, let me tell you this though. When I got the confirmation about Shanks going back and living at Marriagewood, I didn't have a theory about the future, but it's just like something that I was trying to figure out as myself because it always kind of never made sense why Shanks would lose his arm to like a Sea King. Not even the Sea King for real, like because if you're looking at the size, but also back then maybe hockey was not really a thing. However, I feel like a way Oda can retcon it is explain the God's Knight's tattoo that they have. And I feel like the implication that it has with Emu and everything. And I feel like when Shanks understanding the like the goal that Goldie Roger has seen for the future and kind of relating to it, but like not maybe he wasn't too sure about that plan and went back to Marijois. However, seeing the reality of the celestial dragons, the God's Knight, like the reality of just this life, he just couldn't adhere to it and then left. However, when he got the confirmation through Luffy, like just the character and the fruit, he was just like, I'm ready, like to like go with this plan. Like I'm fully in. Like, and then he sacrificed that kind of just to seal the deal. So when I read that, that's what I was thinking of, and that's what I'm gonna roll with until Oda tells me otherwise. So there's that. But we mentioned the God's Night. Let us talk about it. Last chapter, the last thing that happened was Gabon being able to hurt Summers. You feel me? By cutting his arm. I wanted to ask y'all, what do y'all think? Why do y'all think that is? Could it be hockey? I've heard theories about love and whatnot. What do y'all think that is? And I feel like we kind of got the answers a little bit in the spoilers coming up.
I was about to say because I had got done watching. Shout out to a theory page and just a lore page that I watch on a regular right after I read these chapters. Grand Line Review.
Hey, yes,
And
sir.
and also O'Hara, he be coming with his videos as well. But I was just watching a Grand Line Review video before we jumped on here, bro, and he was explaining that it could possibly be the power of love, and we've seen instances throughout One Piece, especially with Sanji, and he went through this whole thing and how Sanji could be a direct representative of the power of love just because of how Germa 6 was created. You feel me? Where all his siblings, all their emotions were taken out so they could be killing machines. But that wasn't the same case for Sanji. And that's why people believe, like, you know, he over loves and he's able to use that power to protect others and things of that nature. So it's just like what he was saying makes sense, but the anime fan in me is not willing to accept it, even though just knowing how One Piece is, it might be true. It might be true, but I think it could be the power of love. Me personally, I think it might just be um another advanced type of hockey that he was able to use. Because and then also yes, it has not regenerated, but that was really a quick panel. So we don't know. We truly don't know if it will ever regenerate or it's regenerating while he's outside the panel falling off.
We'll get the answers later on down this episode because, as I said, spoilers for 11:49 coming up.
11:49 itself just it has not came out yet, but there are spoilers out.
Yeah, the spoilers are out.
This is some bullshit, anime fans. See, this is why we can't ever have nothing nice. But that's my. I'm sorry.
I never read the spoilers. I never do spoilers.
I promise you.
I've never read one.
That's how do you think I meet people like Dracula D Rage? I read the spoilers. I go back and when the official panels come out, I read it and then I go listen to people that actually I feel like have more knowledge in it. Especially like what's his name, Monkey D. I feel like that's how I met him. Like I met him like 2 months ago. Just been consistently keeping up. I'm like, bro, how do people do this? Like I don't get it. Y'all gonna see what I'm saying. We gonna get there in the moment.
I'm saying they be going deep into the research and the actual mythology.
Nah, these dudes have Oda in the basement hiding him, and then they're not telling us. I'm telling you.
Nah. Trust. Nah, but like again, like whenever it comes down to it, I mean, ideally it's a lot of like mythology, like looking for whatever the case is. I usually look for like minor ones, so it's not the ones such as like I would guess you would say Norse mythology or anything of that nature. I think whenever we're looking at the minor ones, those are the ones that really play those roles. That whenever I'm say predicting like whatever chapter, that's also why I look at spoilers, so I can look at what stuff I got correct. But that's the only reason why I look at them. Outside of that though, whenever you said love, right? So I mean, I've been talking about the power of love for probably about 2 months now. So I mean, now that it's been like more reference, especially because Gabbana is called the Minister of Love. I mean, I'm pretty much been right at this point. So I mean, I'm kind of enjoying it.
Okay.
But I mean, think about it though. I see.
Do you want to share a little bit of what you were saying, like as far as the love aspect of things?
But before he does that, all I'm saying is if this is truly the power of love, I don't want to hear nobody talk about fairy tale ever again.
Earlier, that's why I'm over here pissed. That is why I'm over here
on
pissed.
My soul. I don't want to hear the power of friendship argument ever again if One Piece is allowed to have the power of love.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm pissed. It better not be.
I don't care. I don't care how it's built out. I don't care if it's complex.
I'm not gonna lie. I actually prefer that as a power of love though, because I was
shut up.
hockey, but
no.
Look.
Power of love. Get shit out of here, bro.
It has to, because think of Kaido. You think Gaban was gonna be stronger than Kaido's hockey?
Wait, what do you think? Is Scapa Gaban strong enough?
No, I'm talking about like the hockey. Like we just never heard of like a concept of hockey. It's just
this
like,
is the left hand of Roger. Yes, I think Scapa Gaban can slice and dice Kaido.
Yes, message. That's real.
You think so?
Fuck yes.
I mean, no, Kenny,
there's no shot. There's no shot he can't, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Like Gaban is killing Kaido.
It's still not helping us because, like, yes, he should be able to, but guess what? He's still the minister of
the love.
Carla,
it's not helping us.
Look, think about it, right? We have many metaphorical reasons on how we're seeing love, right? We have the fist of love, which we all assume was just a gag, right?
Yeah.
And then we also have whenever Boa was talking about love as a hurricane, right? And then what also fruit does she have? She has the love fruit, which also would be a counter for the people of the abyss.
Facts.
And then also think about it, right? Actually, no, Kuma hasn't done what he's done yet to Saturn. So within the chapter, right, Vegapunk says that why is like Kuma able to pretty much be like running around? He's in this vegetation state. Vegapunk says, and he chops it up to the power of love. Why is that? And also, why was Bonnie able to actually stab Saturn? because she has a love for Kuma. This is her father that she's talking about. She has a strong emotion towards him. And this is also why the Abyss is going to relate back to Perona's fruit, because it's this negative emotion.
You said Perona?
Yes.
She coming at the clutch.
What? Can somebody tell me what the Abyss is?
Oh, I can tell you that.
So please, I was about to say, please go ahead. I think I know what it is, but please go ahead.
All right, so the Abyss is essentially going to work off of, if you recall, Miss Golden Week from Alabasta. So like she works off of the color trap, right? So essentially works off of like whatever color she picks for you, that's what emotion you're going to derive off of, right? So whenever you mix all those colors together, you get the color black, which is also what we're having with the Abyss. So that would, of course, be in the concept of they're null and void to emotions, essentially. So that's why whenever we see them first teleport onto Elbaf, they don't have no facial expressions. This is also why whenever we see Gunko kick Brooke, she pretty much was tugging at her heart, essentially. So because she has this such like strong emotion towards Brooke.
Mm-hmm.
So then, oh yeah, I also forgot about the Perona aspect. So like Perona, essentially, like, of course, she does the whole negative thing. You have no morale, anything of that nature. Also, whenever we're looking at like the ghost zone, whenever she sends out those ghosts, they're intangible. Also to be like surveillance, essentially what is like Imu doing with the Gorisen members and also the Holy Knights.
I feel like that's gonna come back. I mean, in literally the next point, because we're gonna get into the spoilers right now. I feel like that's what you just said here. I mean, first of all, let me say this. I had a whole little graph ready for Gunko's identity. That shit don't matter. Throw that shit in the garbage. That's why I literally had to bring up the spoilers, because the spoilers said, nigga, you don't know shit. Throw that shit away.
Understandable.
Listen to the niggas that know.
Understandable.
So, One Piece, chapter 11 and 49. Spoilers are out. So for the cover spread, I mean, obviously we got the Straw Hats in the Maid Cafe outfit. You got the Straw Hat girls wearing maid costumes, including Lilith and Bonnie. Weird.
You said what costumes? What costumes? Sorry.
Maid costumes.
Maid.
Oh,
maid.
The chapter continues from the last one. We got Scapa Gabon versus Summers. Gabon completely defeats Summers and cuts his body into pieces using haki, and he's axis. Summers stays alive but can't regenerate. That's interesting. So he's just chopped up in pieces, sitting in a pile, but he's still alive.
Oh yeah, because they're immortal, aren't they?
I mean, yeah, but I thought the cutting was going to do something. Apparently not. Gunko goes to Colin and says she will kill him if Scopper doesn't surrender. He does. She stabs him and throws him from the tree. Out of here. We get a flashback of Brooks. A flashback of Brooks' past. This blew my mind. I'm not going to lie. Because I was literally here like, oh, we're going to get some crazy answer. Is it Genie? Is it the clone? Whatever it is, I did not expect this. We get a flashback of Brooks' past and learn that he knew Gunko a long time ago before he became a pirate. How old is she?
She's immortal.
Well, it wouldn't be necessarily, it's not really like, I wouldn't say when it comes to the Abyss, they're immortal. I think it comes to like the Gorisen members, they're actually dead. But whenever it comes to like Gunko or Summers or any of those people, we see that like they're actually able to visibly age. And we see that with Garland, which he's pretty old now from whenever we see him in God Valley, essentially, right? Okay. So I think that it's necessarily like they're not able to get sick. They're not actually able to essentially like be harmed. So they're pretty much invulnerable more than like being immortal, essentially.
Okay.
That's what I see it as, at least.
I still want to know how old she is, because ain't no way, bro. How old is Brooke?
They doing this nigga like heat on?
I don't know. But anyway.
I need you to read the next part because it's so nice.
So, Gunko, after she hurts Brooke, she regains control of her mind and tries to free Brooke. You feel me? Biggest plot twist. Imu takes control of Gunko's body and is furious because the Holy Knights took too long and the Holy Land is currently burning and under attack. The Holy Land is under attack in One Piece. Is Dragon on the move?
Yes.
What is happening? What is going on? Is Dragon on the move?
Dragon's my favorite character. So I've been saying that like during this part of the like the arc, which I've been saying for like I'd say
He said time out. He said time out.
a month.
How is Dragon your favorite character? And this man got 5 seconds on the show.
You said how is he?
This man, we just heard this man's voice for the first time recently.
All right, so once we seen him in it's a chapter 100 because that's whenever it says legend begins. So that's whenever we see him in Logtown. So he's been my favorite character just based off of one, his ideals. So like of course he's gonna parallel back to Akainu. So essentially it would just be the fact of they have two different scenes of like how they see justice, right? So whenever we see their justice, one, Akainu hates Dragon, and that's why he calls Luffy Dragon's son. So of course it would be in that same parallel because one, Dragon left him. So it essentially is like, it's really, I don't even rock with you no more. So it's kind of like in that same regard. But like anytime that we see really anything within the story, it's usually Dragon moving shuffle pieces. He's very different from the other Monkey D family because he's a strategist more than a head-on person. That's why I like him so much.
That's solid. That's solid. Bomba, rewind. Give me a second. So was that the end of the spoilers?
No, it is not.
God damn it.
We got one more line. The chapter ends with Emu saying, Mu will show how a god rules over the world.
The moon?
Mu. Emu. Mu. Will show how a god rules over this world, bro.
This nigga gave himself a street name.
Oda said, crank this motherfucker up.
Wait, so Emu is about to make a move?
Yeah.
So we're coming to the end of the... This can't be the end of... This can't...
That's the end of the chapter. I mean, we're not the end of One Piece, but, you know.
It's not the...
Shout out Pew Piece for the spoilers.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
I'm confuddled. I'm conflicted. I feel a lot of ways I feel like I can't say on TikTok. I'm feeling a lot of emotions right now.
Let's back up.
Based off that. Yeah, Kenny, you know what? Kenny talk.
You said how old is Brooke, right?
How old is Gunko?
Oh, okay, never mind. They said how old was Brooke. Like, Brooke is so old that he calls Roger a rookie still.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, because they're talking about before he became a pirate, and he was calling Roger a rookie. But Gunko looks kind of young-ish.
They're immortal.
They are, but like, damn, bro. I mean, just like Dracula just said, they do age. They do show that they can age. As far as just like the Holy Knights compared to the girls say. So why is and also too, we do know that Gunko is not she's not a saint. She's not a proper celestial, is she? She's not.
I mean, we don't know what her devil fruit all does though either.
I mean, it's arrows, as far as we can tell. I think the biggest thing that we're actually undermining from this read is Emu is controlling her. Like, she is trapped too. Like, she's not living off of her free will. She is trapped and just being forced to do these things. The moment that she's able to, I mean, and love, the aspect of love comes back too. The moment she recognizes Brooke, she's able to break free from this power from Emu and then do a little bit. And then he gets upset. He's like, let me like, what you doing?
I mean, the control aspect, again, it goes back to Perona's fruit because that's what Perona is able to do with the ghosts. That's why I say that. So
Oda loves to use recycle ideas and just expand on it.
Exactly. Like everything that we're seeing right now is just an amplified version of pre-time skip.
Literally, so wait, real my fault, real quick. With the control aspect and just seeing how, because even when Gunko was introduced, everybody was like, her power is similar to the arrows that Emu was using. So, do we believe? Just throwing this out there. Do we believe that Vivi's dad is dead?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we saw the arrow go through his chest.
Nah, he's cooked.
Because Sabo took him, right?
He's cooked.
He's cooked for real.
Sabo did not take him. No, he
left him in the room, didn't he?
Yeah,
the body was just left there. Oh, I thought he ran away with the body. My bad.
So y'all don't think he maybe could have been taking his, you feel me, maybe a future slave. Y'all just think
you ain't see that the arrow go through his body?
I saw the arrow go through his body. I done seen swords, knives, and hockey go through other people's bodies, and look where we are now.
But he's not a fighter though.
Yeah, one, he's not a fighter, and he even said that I'm not gonna leave this room after I tell them that I'm a D clan member. He knew.
And he's old.
Yeah, that's another thing as well. It's not like he a Garp or a Gabon or something like that, or Rayleigh.
Shit, Garp just got a hole put through his chest, and we ain't seen that nigga since. Where's Garp?
That's what I'm saying. That's literally exactly what I just said.
I mean, at least Garrett was frozen, so you saw that. Like that lets you speculate.
Look, I don't believe anybody dead until I see the coffin. That I still stand on that nigga Jack should be dead, but hey, it's One Piece.
I'm pretty sure Jack is alive.
That's
Thank you.
inspirational. That's inspirational work. I hate Jack with a pure
He
passion.
said that's inspirational work.
I'm saying, I know
That's
I've
crazy.
said it 100 times, but there is no way you get smacked by an elephant trunk, which the elephant is the size bigger than a whole civilization. You get smacked with that thing, you survived.
Nah, I just can't go for the fact that again he was losing to people like the weaker side of the Scabbard 9. I'm not going for that, bro.
Facts.
You're a potential man, bro. You're a potential man. I can't go for that.
Facts.
Man, I can't believe that. Just like that, Emu is finna bust a move.
Emu's finna be on the move, and then Marie Joie's under attack.
Marie Joie. And I'm at this point, if it's Dragon, hey, finally, bro. We waited 25 years for you to get active. Good job. Finally active, bro. What?
That'd be crazy.
It can only be the Revolutionary Army that's attacking them.
I mean,
Yeah, of course. Especially because Emu's mad at the Holy Knights. I feel like it's like y'all left y'all post, y'all taking too long. Come on, gang. But let's elaborate a little bit more on Emu. And obviously they're about to get active, but for the longest they were not active. They were just in that room staring at pictures and a big ass hat.
mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that big ass hat. Whose hat is that? We saw Joe Boy. We saw the silhouette. Joe Boy
I
is not
saw
a
a
giant.
theory on that.
Okay, Kenny, tell us.
Joy Boy at one point was a giant, and that's the giant version of Joy Boy's hat.
Not buying it.
Why not?
I don't know. I'm just not buying it. You tell me that she just stretch and stay there, okay? And then she's just staring at, because I feel like there is no point in staring at something that doesn't serve a purpose actively. So there has to be something to do with the hat that you're just preserving it, specifically in the place that people don't have access to. Why is that? Feel like I know who got the answers. So please help us out.
Shoot, I mean, I got something for it. Shoot.
Okay.
So like you're specifically asking like whose straw hat that is?
I mean, if you got the answer to that, yes.
It would be Goka.
Goka. You talked about it yesterday.
Well, so you guys know like who the moon god is exactly?
No, I was on your live yesterday.
Oh, okay. So
yes.
Essentially, if you don't know who Goka is, it would be the Serpent of Hellfire. So whenever it comes to like the mermaid quintuplets, it essentially works off of Ichika, Nika, Sanka, Yanka 1, and then Yanka 2. So whenever it comes to the number 5, it would mean Goka. Also, Goka translates to Hellfire also. So that would be that Serpent of Hellfire that we're seeing. And so if you look at that straw hat, we can parallel that back to Thriller Bark. So whenever we were looking at Thriller Bark, the first thing that Ors was looking for was a straw hat. Mm-hmm. What that would also be looking for is that Serpent of Hellfire that we're seeing would also be looking for that straw hat, which that person that is going that to be, or that energy source that they're looking for is going to be Blackbeard. So ideally, that would be that whole regard.
Wait, you lost me.
Okay, wait. Can you understand? I understand. But before you even comment on it, Carlo, I think this is the time. I'm going to need you to share the theory that I had saved in the Google Drive for us to watch from Dracula D Rage. Please. And this is the theory about Blackbeard, because I feel like he touched on it. I just want us to move forward with the full picture, and then he can answer the questions that we might have.
All right, hold on. Let me.
My brain.
It's real levels to this shit. Y'all about to hear some crazy ass shit, and like when you hear theories, you try to reason from what you're seeing, and like the only way to discard it is just by comparing what makes sense, and then you're able to discard it. The reason why I'm so like mind blown and amazed by these fellas, like whether that's Dracula, whether that's Monkey Depot, whether that's Saiga, Tyrese the Runner, and every now and then Nightingale, bro, like you are not able to debunk it. Like you just might be like, okay, I don't like it, or like maybe I hope it's something different. You just can't. I can't. Like it makes sense down to the moons in the One Piece world. I'm like, bro, how the hell you do this? Like, how you know Oda? Tell us.
So what is Blackbeard's end goal? To destroy the moon. So, of course, it's your boy Drac. We're coming back here with some more theories and more speculation. So, let's go ahead and lock in. Like I'm always saying, Blackbeard is our moon god. He is also our serpent of hellfire, which is Goga. And we already know that there were 7 moons that we have within our story, but 6 of them were destroyed, or absorbed. Which I parallel this with the story of the Bakunawa. But why would Blackbeard want to destroy the moon? Because it would cause the world to literally be engulfed in this extreme darkness. Well, we know that he has the Yami Yami no Mi, which is the darkness fruit. We also know that he is the only Logia that is not actually able to be intangible. So if Blackbeard is to destroy the moon, which would stop reflecting the sun's light, it would literally cause this extreme darkness in which he would be able to thrive within the darkness and actually be able to be intangible. So he would reign supreme. But he also has the power of the Quake fruit, so that would also encase all these earthquakes which are going to happen, which would be this world-ending Ragnarok-like storm. Because everybody assumes that it's going to be Loki that starts the Ragnarok event. No, it's going to be Blackbeard. Because Blackbeard also relates to Apopus because he's also a snake god that inhabits the darkness and also earthquakes. And Apopus fights Ra, and he's our sun god. But Ra would not be paralleling Luffy, it'd be Ace. And the reasons of that is because at that point in the story, Blackbeard was the void or this darkness that was extinguishing the sun, which he has the flare fruit. So this would just be a macrocosm of what we are going to see eventually later on within the story whenever Blackbeard destroys the moon. But let's take a look at Imu and Gecko Moria because they parallel each other, of course. And so we know that Gecko Moria was in the body of ores, in which Gecko Moria was waiting for a shadow that was actually able to inhabit ores. We parallel this with the Serpent of Hellfire, the shadow, but actually the person that Imu is waiting for to inhabit this is Blackbeard. That's why back in the Harley text, whenever we are looking at it and it says the earth god was enraged and it used the serpent of hellfire to encase all the world in darkness and death, this would be Blackbeard. And this is what Imu is waiting on, for the return of the serpent of hellfire to actually be in fruition, for it to be used by him. But who else is paralleling Blackbeard? And this would be Orochi, because Orochi has the Yamata no Orochi, which is this mythical Zoan, which was also this 8-headed snake, which Orochi was the same person that was taking out all the other Daimyo families. And all the other Daimyo families outside of the Korazumi, their name means moon. So Orochi was making this moonless region, which was what the Serpent of Hellfire was doing by absorbing all the other moons, which just relates back to the story of the Bakunawa. So how is Blackbeard going to be defeated within the end of the story? If we take a look back at what the Bakunawa was doing whenever it was trying to absorb the last moon, it was disrupted because of the instruments that were being played, specifically the drums. And what do we know? We have the drums of liberation within our story, which is going to be Luffy, the sun god. And within the third world, it says that the sun is going to return one more time and cause this new dawn. So this is going to be that ultimate task that Luffy is going to have to overcome, in which he's going to have to use these drums of liberation to disrupt what Blackbeard is trying to do. Also, the reason why I know that Blackbeard is going to destroy the moon is because of these serpent currents that we have within the story that relates to the tides and the moon. Because whenever we are looking at the serpent currents, that was back in Paradise, in which we get many different relations of a snake being related to the water, with the deep sea current and also the surface current being that diagram of how we are seeing Ouroboros, which is the tail-eating snake. We also get this with Kaido, with him being this dragon that's fighting the sun god that has the drums of liberations, in which he was also the same person that was taking out the Kozuki family, which is a representation of the moon. He's going to be the hero that is going to stop Blackbeard. This is why there's multiple instances within this story of people fighting snakes. This is also why Jinbei tells him that he needs to be this hero, even though it's of course going to be indirectly, but he's going to have to be this hero for the world. He is going to be embodying what Joy Boy and Nika are. Which just ties back to the fictional character of Sora, which he was the hero of the sea. In which Sora would just be a parallel back to Joy Boy, Germa 66 being a parallel to Imu and the Gorosei members. So this is going to be the play at hand that we are going to be seeing from Blackbeard. So Luffy is going to do that exact same thing with Blackbeard. Message. And all this took was some speculation to turn this into a theory. Real.
Kenny, can you invite us through, what's going on through your head?
Maybe, I'm just tired from working all the time.
Come on, Kenny, bro.
There's so many pieces. Like the last thing that threw me, I'm like, how is Germa getting compared to the Gorosei?
So check it out. I can explain that really easy. So, all right. So one, whenever we're looking at Germa 66, we look at like his siblings, right? So we look at Sanji and his siblings. Each one of them have a number, right?
Yeah.
All right. So what do we see whenever the Gorosei members actually get summoned on Egghead? They have numbers and they have summonings. Also, whenever we look at Judge, he has authority over these siblings, right? Just like how Imu has authority over the Gorosei members. So ideally, it would just relate back to how we're seeing like the story of Sora, which is the what is his name? The Warrior of the Sea.
Legend of the Marines, yeah.
Yeah, and so he's also fighting against Germa 66. If we just look at essentially like Germa 66 being that parallel to like what is it name? The Gorisei members in Emu, then essentially Sora would essentially be like the Joy Boy or Luffy in that regard. Because actually Sora has a theme song in which it's very reminiscent of how we're seeing the drums of liberation. Actually.
Who is Sora?
I told you to check it out before. It's the hero of the Marines.
Yeah, it's the hero of the Marines. So like pretty much it comes from a comic strip that we see back in Whole Cake Island. And so essentially it was I think it was Gavino that was talking about it. And so he was pretty much just going over like the fact of, oh, it's so great or whatever the case is, because Germa was pretty much like just reigning over the North Blue. And so that would essentially be like where it comes from. It's just from a comic strip though.
Okay, so next question. You saying that Blackbeard is the big dragon thing on Bombas?
Yes. So the reasons why that would be the case and scenario, he doesn't have it yet, right? Because it's going to be in Loki, because he's going to be that variation. So whenever we're looking at the first world, right? Of course, we know that Nika was manifested into the world, right? Because of course, like all the slaves were like pretty much praying to be liberated, all those different types of things. That would also be happening for the Serpent of Hellfire. It was manifested into the world because everybody was like pretty much draining all those resources. That's also why we see the people up at the moon. They were also doing that to the moon. So is that clear?
How was you said Blackbeard is supposed to be is he gonna get that devil fruit? That's gonna be the third devil fruit?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be his third devil fruit because he's gonna take
And hey, can you actually get into that? Because I saw that on the live yesterday. You explained something as far as because yesterday when I hopped on this live, this is what I saw. I had seen a theory, and I cannot find for the life of me who came up with this theory. But it is a theory about how the way that Blackbeard was stealing devil fruit had to deal with eating somebody's brain. And the similarity that the person that brought up was how Akainu actually landed a punch, a specific punch on Whitebeard that blew up his skull. Like it's not really shown in the anime, but in the manga, it's very prominent. So when they just believe that when he put the tarps over Whitebeard, he's actually there to eat his brain, just making sure that people don't see it. And then another example that they gave was actually Mother Caramel, who was entirely consumed by Big Mom, but by default, her brain was also consumed. So that's how they inherited that power. Now, when I brought it up to this guy, you see the ideas just flare up. And then he talks about how, oh, that would make sense as far as you explained the Bakunawa and you explained like the Ba and how that would make sense as far as like knowledge and the brain. And I just wanted to elaborate because I didn't even get that. And I was, like I said, I was busy at the time.
No, that's all good. So it comes off of the concept of the Egyptian soul. So they come off of like three parts. So it essentially comes from your mind, your spirit, and also the soul, essentially. So there's three parts. So that would be the Ba, Ka, and the Ankh. So the Ankh is the intellect. So that second devil fruit that he is getting, which was Blackbeard, or I said Blackbeard's fruit, goodness, Whitebeard's fruit, that would be the intellect that he is getting essentially from what I was hearing within the story. So, or like the theory that you brought up. So I was like, oh, okay, this is making sense. So I can see the reason on why that would be the Ankh, especially because it's that intellect, because it's coming from the brain essentially.
Wow. Something else that you had mentioned there was the possibility of him eventually stealing Loki's devil fruit to kind of complete that circle. Is that something that's still standing in theory?
Oh yeah, that's I think that's guaranteed.
So are we saying
so that devil fruit already?
Yes, that's the fruit that he ate because again, he wanted to eat that Nika fruit. That's why whenever we're like, again, the Serpent of Hellfire is supposed to be our moon god. What does Loki see himself as? The sun god. But we already have a sun god, which is Luffy. But he's actually that or representation of the moon god. That's also why whenever we see him chained essentially to like the underworld or essentially that would be the Serpent of Hellfire being a wrap around the red line. That would be that representation.
It's starting to make sense. I'm not gonna lie.
Because even in Norse mythology, isn't the what is it, Jormungand? Isn't it supposed to be the snake that wraps around the world?
Yeah, you're talking about
Jormungand.
Yeah, so that would essentially be, of course, like the world-eating snake. It also wraps around the body. That's also why we get that whole revelation of the soak that's or the serpent that's soaked in blood. That's
Wait,
why
can you say what did you say about him, about Loki and the red line?
So whenever we look at the most recent volume cover that we have, so Oda pretty much drew him like against the world, but he's still chained though. So that would be that representation of him, one being that serpent of hellfire, but also being the red line, essentially because the serpent of hellfire died, creating the red line.
Wow.
No, this is insane. It's like I know Kenny's physically mind blown, but I'm over here like, damn.
Nah, it's OD,
Like,
bro.
nah, it is OD, and it just it just that alone puts a lot of pieces together, because that's like, as casual watchers and casual readers, that's not something that you're putting together. But when you explain the way that you did, it's like now you understand, like, there's I don't know if this ties into it, but it leads me to believe, like, so they have a reason to be afraid of Loki almost. You feel me? Like they have a reason to not want to free him almost. You feel me?
Oh, they do. They are afraid of this man.
Yeah, but keep going. My fault.
No. I was just saying that's what it ties down to, because like as a casual reader, you're just like, yeah, when he's first introduced, you're trying to, like, what power does he possibly have that would make him this afraid, that would put him in these chains all the way, down in the underworld. And then when you put things together like that, it's like, this shit is starting to make sense. And so, especially if that is not, if the fact that that's his devil fruit, that's the huge answer right there. And so when we're going to see him, so do we think he's going to be able to unleash it before Blackbeard gets a hold of it?
Yes, he will see his devil fruit.
Okay.
We'll definitely see it because, like, we had to see that representation of the serpent of hellfire actually reintroducing it within the story, because we have only seen it within the first world within that mural.
Right.
So that's also what Emu is waiting on, because, like, whenever we're looking at Blackbeard, we have to look at it in the regard of, like, his picture was also cut. Shirahoshi's and also Luffy's picture was cut, but Vivi's wasn't. So it's like, why would Vivi's not be cut in the first place? Well, one, Emu would be inhabiting Lily's body. They're waiting for Vivi to actually, of course, get back to Marie Joie. That's why Emu was actually mad in the regard of why was Vivi actually not captured and brought back, because that was going to be the body that they were going to transfer to. That's why they also want Law. That's why Law's, like, fruit has such a high bounty on it outside of the immortality surgery.
This is amazing.
So I'm guessing I kind of got the answer when you were saying that. So I'm guessing that you're going with the theory that currently Emu is residing in Lilith's body, right?
Oh yeah, like, so Quill, it comes from my homie Quill. So of course, like how you mentioned him, right? So that comes from him, but essentially, like, I've of course put my own twist on it, essentially, like, pretty much figuring out Emu's devil fruit, because we've only seen the tail of it. I just made a recent video on it, actually. I think it's pretty reminiscent of how we're going to see her, or not her, but his fruit rather. So
hey man, y'all heard that? We can't give y'all all the answers here, so y'all be sure to go check out this man's page, Dracula D Rage. He's gonna give y'all the theories, and y'all, like y'all just heard, he got something about Emu, man.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
So does Blackbeard know that he's supposed to eat that fruit?
All right, so once he sees this fruit, he's gonna want this fruit in the specific reality of, one, he is supposed to be, it's pretty much that checkered fate that we keep hearing about with the D family, right? So, like, whenever it comes to, like, the darkness aspect, that would be that serpent of hellfire, which is also like that hell relation. So once he realizes, okay, one, Loki has this fruit, this is also going to be pretty much him getting, like, that soul aspect, because he needs that spirit from Goka, essentially, because he has heavy ties with the moon also.
So Blackbeard's gonna kill Loki.
Yes. It's going to be during the...
Blackbeard's always been drawn with the moon.
If you don't mind my prediction on when he's going to do it, it's going to be during the final war, essentially. So it's going to be a parallel back to Marineford, even though, of course, Oda already said that it's going to be like sweet cake whenever it comes to how we were looking at Marineford. Parallel back to that whenever we see Loki actually die, essentially.
So, okay. All right. Okay.
Do you think Loki's going to die as a Straw Hat? That's what I want to know.
As a Straw Hat? Most likely, yeah. I think he would actually be a Straw Hat. I'm not gonna lie. I don't really see him not being a Straw Hat. So
I have a question that is, if I want to make sure, Bamba, I want to make sure that we get through everything you want to talk about this specifically, because I have a question that's unrelated.
Nah, go ahead.
So I have a question that's unrelated to somebody that we have recently seen. And then I also have before I ask that, Have y'all seen the reports that the God Valley incident is about to be animated? Are they talking about
Next
just
week. Next week.
is it going to be the whole incident or is it going to be just be flashbacks?
No,
Like the
flashback.
flashback.
Okay. That's
It's just gonna be from the perspective of Kuma.
okay. Because niggas was on Twitter talking about, oh shoot, we about to see God Valley. Why didn't they put it in a manga? It's not.
But I feel like, to be fair though, like usually compared to manga, we do get a little bit more here and there. So I'm excited like what they might insert. But just that you're not gonna get like any more as far as the story. He already told you what he's gonna tell you.
For sure. Okay. And so then my original question, we have just seen him in the panels, Rocks Dieselbeck. Do we see him only being mentioned in the past tense or do we see him returning at some point?
Shoot.
Like does he fit into this final story other than flashbacks?
He does fit into the story because I mean it would also be based off of the inherited will. I also think that he had the dark fruit before Blackbeard actually had it. Also with that being said, I think ideally like I've seen a lot of stuff about him pretty much being like the man marked by flames. I don't think that's too ideal. But I mean outside of that, I think that he's gonna have heavy relations to essentially like how we see like Ace's fruit essentially whenever Salvo got it right, he pretty much has those like remembered memories or like essentially like moves that like we see. Those would be those.
Then you're like they're talking to the person.
Yeah, it's essentially like that. So that's how I see like Zebek pretty much being reintroduced into the story if it's not like him actually still being alive.
Okay. That's all. That's the only question I had. I was like, I feel like we gotta touch on that real quick.
More often though.
Oh yeah, it's all good. Shoot, I don't mind. I love it.
You feel me? I don't know why we don't be thinking about like the link to the devil fruits. Like clearly it's been highlighted many times. Like Sabo was like, oh, Ace said. I'm like, where's Ace?
Facts.
He's like, Ace said. So I'm like, clearly the things be communicating, but for the longest I've been thinking like, what is the link between Blackbeard and Zebek? Does Zebek leave some knowledge for him? But nah, sometimes it's simple. It's so simple that we just look over it. The devil fruit.
I got a question.
Yes.
Sir.
So is Blackbeard gonna pop up at
Elbaf,
or is he gonna see this devil fruit on a transponder still? The video transponder still?
Honestly, I would say it's more like in that, like I would say like it's more if he sees it maybe like in this next arc that we're going to be seeing, because honestly how I'm seeing Elbaf, it's essentially a parallel back to Water 7. So I'm assuming like, of course it's a bit out there, but it kind of is like what I'm pretty much seeing right now because of the kids. But I believe that like maybe 2 or 3 of the kids actually do get taken to Marie Joie. Also, we're of course seeing that now Marie Joie is on fire, all these different types of situations. So one, the Straw Hats and them are also going to have to go to Marie Joie, in which that would also enter into that Innie's lobby sector, in which that parallel to Robin pretty much being the kids in that parallel.
That'd be fire. That'd be fire. Oh my God, that'd be fire. That'd be fire.
So yeah, that's honestly how I would see it. And then that third party that we see whenever we see like Omio and I forget what the other giant's name is, but that would pretty much be like the Revolutionary Army pretty much being that third party that we're seeing. So that would also be that because they were already there. So I mean the Revolutionary Army is essentially already there. So I mean that would just be that.
Why does nobody talk about Punk Hazard with this?
You say why don't they what?
Talk about Punk Hazard in connection to this?
Because I don't think that people really are like well, one, I'm always rereading or like looking for certain things within the story. So I mean, like whenever it comes to Punk Hazard, I think it ideally comes into the fact of like how they were pretty much trying to make like giants again, right? So like whenever we're looking at Imith, right, they pretty much are very reminiscent of how we're seeing like Ors or Loki because they have horns on the side of their head. Right. So that's pretty much what was happening within the Ancient Kingdom. They were making robots that essentially were representative of the ancient giants. But of course, we're seeing like with the numbers, they are failed experiments of the numbers, which also is what one Emu always wanted in the first place, which is ancient giants, because that would parallel to the fact of they might be able to harness this ancient energy source.
Okay, so one question I'm gonna have as far as what's behind me right here. There's this little segment. They said within the earth there was fire. Mankind succumbed to the greed and touched the forbidden sun. What does that like? Just from what you know in general, what do you think the metaphor of the flames on the earth is at that point?
The flame on the earth, it would be the forbidden sun that they have touched. So ideally, like whenever it comes to like the actual like mother flame that we're assuming is going to be this forbidden sun, they're two different things to my interpretation of how I'm seeing it. I see as like the one that Vegapunk has made, it's a rendition or pretty much like a false one essentially. Like it's not the same thing because like we're looking at like essentially all the things that we were seeing within like this mural. Like if we look at the thing that we're assuming Emu is holding, that would just be the rendition of the forbidden sun. That would be our eternal flame essentially. But like whenever we're seeing the mother flame, it's more like it's just used to power up certain things in which it wouldn't be Uranus, like what was powering up to destroy Lelouchia, in my opinion.
Okay. I have two more points that I want to ask you questions about. This has nothing to do with like what's happening later, but I want to ask Carl and Kenny if y'all have questions y'all want to ask him because after this, we're gonna move to the last video theory we have, and then that's what we will wrap up the episode with. So Kenny, go ahead.
Can somebody? Okay, I probably should have watched a YouTube video on this. Can somebody explain the mirror for me?
All right.
The mirror?
Yeah.
What?
Like the whole mural or like certain segments of it?
So is the thing that Nika's fighting over, is that supposed to be Emu?
Yes.
All right. What's the whale?
The whale, that would be the representation of Zunisha. The reason why I can say that that would be the representation of Zunisha is because we see that Zunisha has ringed eyes. So essentially like the body that we're seeing within like Zunisha would of course be that other soul. So like you remember the whale tree that we see in Zoe?
Yeah.
That's actually Zunisha because they were petrified.
Oh,
so ideally Zunisha is also going to be getting petrified, but of course it's being slowed down because of the seawater that we're seeing because of course their legs are within the water. That's why.
Are you sure it's not Laboon?
No, it would also be, well, one, I think that Zunisha was originally a whale. Also in that same regard, I think that like Zunisha is actually an ancestor to Laboon.
Okay, another question.
What's up?
Is that not Loki right there?
That would be that representation. That's why I said it would have, like, whenever Loki dies, it's going to be during the final war. Also, whenever we look at the pelt that he has, right, it's very reminiscent of how we're seeing the Serpent of Hellfire's, like, pretty much face, if you look at it.
Oh, yeah. Shit.
That's why, again, that also parallels into me saying that Loki actually has this fruit outside of everything else that I have about it.
Also, just looking at the mural, I mean, I'm just taking a wild guess. I'm guessing Frankie is supposed to be the MF of this generation, right?
Exactly.
Frankie's what?
The MF. Just look at his silhouette.
He's okay. Sato, he's the what again?
The MF, the robot that
giant robot.
Oh, that's crazy. What's the dragon in the very middle?
The very middle, that would be the full Zoan form of Emu. Whenever we're looking at the left side, whenever they're holding the forbidden sun, this is like pretty much different points of whenever this war was happening. So whenever we're looking at the left side of it, whenever they're like in this hybrid form, that would be Emu's hybrid form.
Like basically the only thing that all of these worlds have in common is just Emu.
Really
transitioning with it.
Like the only thing that actually is from the first world is essentially the Serpent of Hellfire and also Nika. These were whenever these two beings were actually manifested into the world. That's why we have that representation of light versus darkness, or whenever we look at dreams versus nightmares, essentially. So that would be that aspect. And that's also why that Serpent of Hellfire is very close to that moon. That's also why he's the moon god or representates of that. And then like whenever we're looking at essentially like this tree that we're looking at, that would be the Eve tree. So that would essentially be where the devil fruits are coming from. That's also why it's called the sacred jewel tree.
You said the Eve tree, and that's the one that's down in Fishman Island, correct?
Yeah. So, but it would also be essentially like growing up also like near Marie Joie. But that's also why like Emu essentially is able to keep giving out these fruits to the people of the Holy Knights, or essentially of that nature.
So like I said, I had 2 points I was saving. One of them being Roger's hat. Like clearly the straw hat. I mean, like I said earlier, we talked about Emu, the hat he has in there. Where did Roger get his straw hat? Like clearly there's some symbolism to it. I just never really got the answer.
That's one thing I don't have the answer to. I'm not gonna lie. That's one thing I don't have an answer to because
I see random flashback. He got the pirate hat, and then now randomly just where did you get that? For you give it to Shanks?
Like it would be different, like if he didn't have it on whenever we first see him talking to Rayleigh. Now I could be like, okay, well, it could have came from here, but he had it on whenever he first met him. So
when he was younger.
Very difficult to say where he actually got it from.
And then for it to just randomly have some symbolism within the story, I was just like, bro, what? Who are you? Okay. Another point I wanted to bring up, which is the time aspect of it on Elbaf. I feel like they are making sure to remind us that time is moving differently compared, like within Elbaf compared to the outside world. Now, what do you think that's hinting at? Like, is there some development that's happening outside, like almost some hyperbolic time chamber where you just hear and you just don't figure it out?
Would I also explain their ages too, how they age?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, it kind of plays into that. I think one is like an aspect of that also pretty much being like, well, if you stay too long, then essentially like everything else that has been happening like outside Elbaf has essentially been in like a forward pace. Also, like whenever we're looking at Elbaf, of course, they're like this warrior tribe also to, of course, always be within like a war or whatever the case is. So as long as you stay on the island, you're just going to keep getting into conflicts. That's why you shouldn't stay there too long outside of like the whole time aspect.
I got you. That makes sense. But well, I mean, like I said, those were the last points I had. So to wrap it up, let's get into our final theory. And Carlo, please, just go ahead and double the speed of the play because this one is a little longer.
Okay. Can I even do that on dry? Yes, I can. Hold on.
But like I said, yeah, you should give you the option at the bottom. But like I was saying too, I was surprised to find out that both Quill and Dracula are actually friends and that they do chat a little bit, come up with ideas, and I was like, that makes sense. Like, you can't just have two random geniuses just coming up with these ideas. Like,
oh yeah, I mean, we see like Brooke and Gunko pretty much like knowing each other. We called that shit maybe about 3 weeks ago. We were like, it makes sense that one, like, well, we didn't get the part of like before Brooke was a pirate. We were assuming that it would be while he was, of course, a soul and he was just roaming for 50 years. And he essentially went up to Ridgewa essentially and was like pretty much seeing her or whatever the case is, or just the Holy Knights in general.
Yeah, because I mean, the theory we're going to react to is actually a Brooke theory too. But I feel like I wanted to bring it just because it has like more so a world building that he alludes to. Like he has shown it in other theories, but I just wanted to bring it to the boys because I don't think they've ever seen it.
I can't remember which theory it was, but there was somebody talking about how because he just brought up how Brooke's soul was wandering. I remember somebody saying that he could have respawned in Marie. Wait, now that I'm saying this, I know exactly.
Oh,
I know exactly who said it.
It's him.
Yeah,
oh, was it Quill?
It's Quill.
Yeah.
It's Quill. Okay, that's my dog.
I was like, as I'm saying it, I'm like, wait a minute, bro. I just watched it earlier. Of course, my fault.
Let's go.
So this video is solely about Brooke. My friends, let's theorize for a second. Now, if you've read chapter 1146 and further of the manga, you're going to want to get out of here. But this theory revolves around the fact that Brooke himself has possibly been to the Holy Land. In the recent chapters, when they're confused about what's up with Gunko and who she is, Brooke instantly knows that she's a God's Knight, and nobody knows about the God's Knight. And in 1147, Brooke goes, that woman, no, it couldn't be. Brooke obviously knows something. And I believe I know exactly how Brooke knows this. It's all due to his devil fruit. Some of the biggest things connected to the sun god himself are laughter and music, and mainly music. His heartbeat is a drum beat. It's music that's playing. Our sun god, currently Luffy, first wanted a musician. That's the only person he looked for besides Zoro himself. And with our recent dives into the holotext, we've now understood what this was, or what this process was back in the ancient kingdom. On the right side, these are dead people. That's why there are halos on their head. On the left side, this is what happened with those dead people. The ancient energy source you see coming out, that these people are coming out with on the left side, it's these dead people. That's because the ancient energy source was the souls of the dead. This follows the belief of Aztec mythology where everybody went on a journey through hell. They were reborn through the flames of hell in a new body and a new vessel. It was like reincarnation. That's what you see here. Dead souls, dead people being pushed in, going down into hell, and the ancient energy source coming out, them coming out with the ancient energy source. They had to be reborn. The main way this functioned was through music and dance. The enslaved people of this world quite literally came together all like this with the enslaved dead all around them and used that to manifest sun god Nika into the world. That is why sun god Nika's heartbeat is a drum. It's every slave who was sitting here playing in that drum beat, singing out to sun god Nika and believing in him. You see how important music is and the fact of how the souls of the dead are very important. My friends, that puts Brook in a whole new light because he is a musician. He is the soul king and he's a dead skeleton. He is every aspect of what I just told you within him and him alone. Same way humanity used music to tap into the souls of the dead to manifest their dreams and desires. It was essentially soul music. This is why Brook is the soul king of our ship. The thing is, when Brook died, he was wandering the earth for a year. His soul took forever to find his body. That is why Brook is now currently a skeleton. And in that year's time that Brook's soul was wandering the earth, I believe Brook ended up in the Holy Land. And that is exactly how he knows about the God Knights existing in the first place. The whole basis of this comes from Aztec mythology. And the whole basis of how the One Piece world was functioning came from Aztec mythology. When people died, they were reborn through the flames of hell. And humanity was able to get those souls while they were going through the rebirth of hell and stop that and take those souls out and bring them back to earth. That is the ancient energy source you see here. The whole basis, though, people had to be reborn through the flames of hell. But there was one thing that would make you not be reborn through the flames of hell and have to go through the journey through the underworld. And that's if you died from flooding or disease and sickness. The exact problem of the One Piece world in many of the places. In fact, the very place based off Aztec mythology, Skypiea, they have a disease infecting them because of dead souls within trees. You see, these people who died from drowning or flooding, they didn't go to the journey of hell or burn through the flames of hell. You know where they went? They went directly to heaven. And so what am I saying about Brook? When he died and his soul was reborn and it had to find its way back to his body, the place he was reborn was the Holy Land. And from there, Brook made his way back to his body, which took him a long time to do. I believe that when Brook first died, his soul reappeared within the Holy Land. Why? Because people who died from uncircumstantiated causes or unforeseen deaths, they went to heaven. These were known as the Mountain Cave people. They went to a god known as Talalak. Talalak was the god of water. He had 4 jars that represented the 4 cardinal directions. And that's exactly how the One Piece world is split today and how it's kept controlled. Talalak was characterized as having ring-like eyes and tusk. Do you remember the Var statues in Skypiea? Tusk. Or fangs, whatever you want to call it. And Skypiea is based on the very same mythology I'm telling you about. And to confirm it even more, again, these people were called the Mountain Cave people, the Tlalhui. They were the people of Talalak, the rain god. Blue Child's name is Sanka. You know what Sanka means? Mountain Cave people. Oda, you're not slick. You're caught. You're caught again. I do believe that the souls of the dead themselves are quite literally what Emu was using to power themselves. For Joy Boy, how I explained to you, it's the souls of the dead coming together, singing out together, working together in camaraderie. For Emu, it's the opposite. She needs them all hating, fighting each other, warring against each other so she can control and use these souls for her own powers and abilities. And that matches up with the Aztec mythology. These people who died in these bad ways went to heaven. And now I can talk about why I have this picture of a giant straw hat in this cold-ass room behind me. Because keyword, cold-ass room. Why are you keeping a bunch of relics cold? Why is that entire room frozen in the first place? Why are there multiple doors? It's not just this straw hat that's kept there. There's multiple doorways, and it's more than 7. There's like 12 of them. What's up there that needs to be kept frozen? In One Piece, my friends, what's associated with the cold? What does Brook specifically tell you about his ice powers? It's the chill of the underworld. Remember how there was a knight saying there was a secret chamber somebody found out about and they got disappeared in the Holy Land? That cold room that they kept hidden? The giant straw hat is kept? Yeah, the idea is that that room is where the dead souls go. This is a room for the souls of the dead. And you know what that would mean? Heaven is actually hell. The Holy Land is actually hell. The souls of the dead are up there. They roam up there. And this is how Emu stays and is in power. That fits perfectly for its opposite. Fishman Island, which is at the bottom of the sea, where hell would be at. Fishman Island is supposed to be the hell, but it's heaven. It's depicted as heaven. The mermaids are even depicted with Hagoromo scarves. And this is because when you're supposed to feel like you're going down to hell, you're in heaven. That's why there's this bright light that comes from the Eve tree and everything. That's why it's got the name of a heavenly tree, Eve. And it's a tree that's named after a being who was made by God initially, went against God by, first eating the fruit from the tree and forsaking all of humanity. So now they're seen as a devil. So everything paths to hell. You see the illusions there. You see the parallels. And that brings us back to the main point. Brooke's soul respawned up here in this room, and this is how he knows about the Holy Knights and everybody up there. This is also where all the Holy Knights and them get their power from. And this room is kept cold so the souls of the dead can be kept here, so they actually stay here. Now, we should figure out why the ancient giant even attacked the Holy Land. We saw it only function for two purposes. The voice of all things, the drums of liberation. Nico wasn't around at this time, so who the hell and why was this thing moving? Unless something called out to it with the voice of all things. A soul. And inanimate objects can have souls. They can have the voice of all things. So that tells us this hat or something in this room was calling out to the ancient giant, and that's why it went up there in the first place. Just to wrap this up for you to see how important Brooke really is. Paramecias, when they awaken, they specifically affect their surroundings. Brooke can project his own soul. Just talk about the fact that humanity used music to combine a bunch of dead souls together to manifest their god, Nika. And not just that, many of their other dreams and desires. When it comes to the Soul King and his awakening, if Brooke were to awaken and there's dead bodies around him, he would bring every soul out of that dead body. Exactly as the Ancient Kingdom was doing with their music. And he's the Soul King, so he's definitely playing music while he's doing it. Yeah, people might die in One Piece in the end of the war. We might see some Straw Hats die, but I promise you, the Soul King's gonna take care of all of that. Don't you even worry about it. Brooke himself is a parallel to this entire process that manifested Nika and humanity's dreams and desires into this entire world. Before I go, I'd love to give a shout out to Drac and Ghost Train because they were in VC with me, chatting with me about this to see if this was a crazy idea. And like, the more we talked, the better the theory got. So thank you guys. You guys definitely go check their pages out. Ghost Train, Dracula D Rage. There you go.
Yes, sir. You right here.
Show them some love. I'll see you guys in the next video.
But man, oh man, oh man. First of all, not something completely unrelated to the theory, but the more he was speaking, the more it started to make sense to me. We just earlier talked about how devil fruits kind of chatting to you, feel me? Like kind of tell you something. I just want to ask, is that not happening with Luffy? Yes. Because like just looking at his crew, what was that?
I said it is happening with Luffy.
It is, because looking at his crew, I'm just like, bro, this man wanted the musician, and then he got Brook. And like I told y'all about these theories, I'm sold. I feel like the purpose that he's saying that Brook will have. We know that's true about Zoro. I feel like you gotta see it with Nami, especially with her struggle in her village. And he specifically went out his ways to tell Sanji that I cannot do it without you. So I feel like Luffy knows of these pieces that he's missing, but why does he know of it? And I'm just like, is the fruit just whispering that shit to him? Like, yo.
I mean, think about it in the circumstances of whenever we seen Luffy his first time going into Gear 5 and he split the sky. His lightning was yellow and it was also Conqueror's Haki. So that was his will and also the will of the fruit. So, I mean, ideally that would be in that match right there. This is also making sense on the reason on why whenever we see the King of Hell, Zoro, like whenever his shit emanates like green, it would relate back to how we see the soul.
Right.
So that's another thing.
Good God. Boys, how y'all feeling? I thought I would go like...
Yeah, no, because Eve, the whole part, because again, I watched this earlier, but just watching it again with y'all, the whole part about Eve Tree being in Fishman Island or emanating from Fishman Island where hell is supposed to be, and that being, you know, represented by God creating Eve, and then Eve being banished after she ate the fruit. So just seeing the comparisons and the parallel, it's insane to see. Like I said, as a casual reader and watcher, just when you put the theories together, it's like I always have a saying, theorists have a way of making things make sense, but when you listen to Dracula D Rage and Monkey D Quell, it's like, I understand they also both cool, but it's like when you're listening to their theories, they're not just trying to make it make sense. They're basically giving you the information, telling you why it makes sense. And if you take it, you take it. If not, you know, that's on you.
For sure.
You feel me? So it's just mind boggling. But I do, because I remember before watching that Monkey D Quell his theory about Brooke, I know a lot of people were theorizing that there might have been a point in Brooke's life where he was a God's Knight himself, or he was in Marijois, you know, working for the Holy Kingdom himself. So it's just like that. I understand those theories, but what Quell was saying makes a lot more sense than him being a specific God's Knight.
That was true.
Can somebody
And also,
explain the when you die, your soul randomly spawns and merge, or how? Can somebody explain that?
So whenever he's talking about that in specific, so like whenever you die to something of essentially like how he was talking about floods or just unnatural causes, so pretty much like unexplained, essentially, like you just die out of random, you're gonna go up to essentially heaven, which of course that would be hell, right? In our regard of how we're seeing like Marie Joie. So whenever it comes to like Brooks' death, it was like pretty much like unfathomable or like pretty much unexplained. Like it's just like, oh well, he just died and it's okay. So he went up to Marie Joie. That's also where essentially, like, whenever we're looking back at Skypiea, they have the trees of the dead souls, and this is where the souls would actually be recuperating. In which, whenever we're looking at Marie Joie, they have pretty much this flower chamber. This was very close to where we're seeing the Straw Hat at. And this is also why, whenever you look at Punk Hazard, which you were bringing up earlier, whenever we look at Nami and they were pretty much saving the kid, they go through this corridor of ice cold shit. And then there's these pretty much dead bodies, which also inhabit their souls. It parallels right back to it. So if you just look at Caesar essentially in that regard as like he's holding these people like in this ice cold storage, that would be Emu going to go look at the giant straw hat.
also two things that tie into that. Weak people don't choose how they die.
Yeah.
That's why choosing the way you die is so important, because if you don't die, then you're forced to reappear in this place and possibly like used to fulfill somebody else's will. And that's also why Emu, the ancient weapon, makes so much sense why he need the mother flame and everything, because if he hits Lucia, all of y'all niggas is up there, and then I got a power source.
Exactly.
Brother.
This is insane.
So these Buster calls have all been empowering Emu this whole time?
Yes.
Basically.
Literally
have you been reading the same One Piece?
Every single time that we have seen a Buster call, it is literally all those souls are going up there and they are literally being used to literally build up this ancient energy source that we were seeing within the mural.
So wait, where's the ancient energy source in the mural?
The ancient energy source that we're seeing, you see how those people are like going down to hell, right? Like
I see now. I see it. Yep.
Yeah,
now exactly. See they're giving it to Emu. I see it.
Yeah. Or well, that would be the Serpent of Hellfire, because the Serpent of Hellfire is also able to encompass the ancient energy source. That's also why whenever we're looking at Blackbeard, that's the person that they're waiting on. That's why you can parallel Ors and the Serpent of Hellfire back to Emu and not Goku. Gecko Moria.
Gecko Moria.
Wait, where does Gecko Moria come into this?
Because the shadow aspect of things.
Well, look, think about it, right? So whenever we're looking at Ors, right? Ors, one, needed a specific shadow, and that was Luffy's. And then we also see that Gecko Moria was inside the body of Ors. Whenever we're looking at the Serpent of Hellfire, the specific person that we're waiting on to actually have this fruit is Blackbeard. The person that Emu is waiting for is Blackbeard to actually be used, just like how Gecko Moria was doing it with Ors.
But like instead of it being a shadow this time, it's more so a shadow going into the body. Exactly. Because Emu is in Lilith's body. What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah. Once you like start realizing, yeah.
So the first time they did it, Casey Kenny, basically it was the shadow, the body needing, the body needing a shadow. This time it's a shadow waiting for the body.
Exactly. You can also look at it in the aspect of like Peter Pan.
Yeah. Bro.
You can also look at it like that.
Like I said, I just asked it earlier. Let me ask it again. Have you been reading the same One Piece? Because what the fuck?
I mean, we're definitely reading the same One Piece. Is ideally, I just look for the minute details, and then I pretty much parallel it back to something that I've seen, like whether it's Odachi and Emu. Like I think Emu's backstory is going to be very reminiscent of how we're going to see Odachi's backstory. Like if we look at Dr. Hogback and Sentry, and how we're looking at Emu in the picture of Lily. Just like how pretty much Dr. Hogback was pretty much fantasizing over Sindri and had this huge picture of her, that's also how we're seeing Emu look at Lily in that same regard. So you can look at it like that. There's many different things that you can, parallel back to. It's very fun to do, though.
And Oda stated many times. And that's even what I mean by like confirmation. Because like I said, we try to theorize, but I feel like we theorize off of what we get from the story. Like we don't really know how to go out and like potentially find like the references that Oda might be using. Like recently, like I got the confirmation that was it killing him that he was like from Chinese mythology and everything. I'm like, that's dope. I love when people are doing that. but I'm not able to do it myself. I'm just gonna stay in my lane, which is from the story, what happened and what is happening. Also specifically Oda telling us that, like, kind of using, like, not telling us, but like in his literal style, like, just you can just see that he's using the story again, like just making use of the pieces. So he already told the story a long time ago. And now
he told us this story.
So
Everything.
these
like, our whole
theories that
story-
y'all take from outside, we're able to tie it up from within. And I'm just like, how do y'all do this?
Oh yeah, like whenever we're looking at pre-time skip, it's the entire story. It's literally the
All of
entirety
it.
of the story. Like even if we were to just stop where we stopped in pre-time skip, that would literally be the story that we're seeing right now.
I want Kenny, Carlil, and all of the conversationalists to hear that this man yesterday said, as far as the end, he know how it goes.
Oh yeah. I know. For a fact, I definitely know, and it's gonna be a
the
back to
ending.
through. I'm
He
pretty
know
sure
the
I
ending.
know.
I mean, obviously, I'm not going to ask you because I
I'm
wouldn't want to
pretty
get
sure
that spoiler right
if you
now.
guys want to ask, I mean, shoot, I don't mind. Shoot, I really don't.
It's like, is it really a spoiler if it's at this point, Bomba, if it's still a theory? Like, you know,
This man is potentially gonna tell us the answer to One Piece today. That's what y'all want?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm intrigued.
Let's go. Let's go. That's all I need here. Let's go. Let's go.
All right, so we had to take our talents back to Thriller Bark, right? So whenever Luffy got his shadows taken, right? What happened? He was all weak and powerless, right? So he didn't even have his gum fruit, right? So what did they do? They started putting shadows into him, right?
Right.
So that's how he became Nightmare Luffy, and then he eventually was actually beating Oars, right? So let's go ahead and fast forward to how we're going to be seeing this final arc, right? So one, we're going to be looking at Oars as that parallel to Blackbeard and also the Serpent of Hellfire. The Serpent of Hellfire is going to be that opposite. So it's pretty much going to have the opposite powers of what Nika has. That's why Blackbeard and Luffy are one and the same.
Right.
So we're going to see Serpent of Hellfire have a black Homaroga scarf, while of course Luffy has that white, right? So Luffy is going to lose his actual
Oh, you're breaking up. He's breaking up.
Yeah, you're breaking up. You just started breaking up real bad.
He's going to
lose.
Oda's
blocking his
Oda's
Wi-Fi
hacking the servers
for a brief moment.
Oda blocking his Wi-Fi right now.
Goodness. Hold on.
Oda hacked this man's Wi-Fi.
Am I good?
Oda said, "We nope, not going to tell the answers."
Good.
No, I think you should be good now.
Yeah, you smooth right now.
All right, cool. So where was I? Okay, so just like how we're seeing the Serpent of Hellfire essentially being that parallel back to Oars, right? So Luffy, like I said, is going to lose those powers. We also have that person that has the Revive Eye fruit, just like how we were hearing from Quell, right? So of course, whenever we're seeing this final war, people are going to die. Those souls that we're going to be seeing that are actually going to be brought out of their body, they're going to be brought in to Luffy, which is ideally going to be that recumbrance that we keep seeing. And it's going to be that whole full circle picture of course, like the souls being recumbrant, and then pretty much it relates back to the whole drums beats and all those different types of things. So that's how he's going to initially beat Blackbeard, right? So then we're going to look at the aspect of whenever we're going to go to Emu, right? Because of course I haven't talked about Emu, but Emu is a major character within this story. So one, Emu is going to be waiting pretty much in the sense of as soon as Blackbeard is pretty much like pretty much dazed, just like how we seen Oars was. That's just exactly what Gecko Moria did. He waited for Oars to pretty much be all done, and then he became this little antagonist, essentially. But it's not going to be the same thing, though. Blackbeard is going to realize, oh, no, why are you trying to take over my body? This is not that play. So he's going to reject Emu. So whenever Emu is actually pretty much trying to do this, they're going to lose to Blackbeard because Blackbeard is going to be like, nah, this is not it. So that's going to be...
got the Will of D?
Who?
Blackbeard?
Yeah. He definitely does. That's why he has that checker fate. Because it's going to be in that same parallel. And this is also how Emu is going to lose. Because Emu is actually going to lose to Blackbeard. Luffy's going to have nothing to do with this, essentially. But the person that
I actually love that. I love that a bunch. Because I feel like, just like you were saying, the whole theory of the sun and the moon, I feel like there's been multiple theories I've heard about in the past about like actually those two kind of working hand in hand. Not necessarily like working together, but working at the same time to actually lead these events to conclusion.
Oh, yeah. And also, Luffy doesn't kill people. So again, it wouldn't work out either way. He just
Mhm.
destroys people's dreams. He doesn't actually hurt people, or I wouldn't say hurt people, but packs them up rather. So that's the reason on why it's not gonna happen. It's gonna either be Blackbeard, but I think the last person that's actually gonna take him out for real, get that last slash is gonna be Zoro, because again, like he's a demon, which is also what Zoro is essentially trying to become, which is that King of Hell. That's why he's also gonna fight Shamrock during this final arc as well, because he's gonna be fighting that Guardian of Hell, which is that Cerberus fruit. This is why Shamrock has this sword with the Cerberus fruit.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that hell part that seals it because that just makes sense. I mean, Zoro's journey at this point. Me and Katie, we talk about that quite often.
So that's the
What's
part.
behind the eye patch?
Say what's behind that? I think it got a shot, got a token.
All right, look. All right, I'm gonna be dead honest. That's one that like even me and Quill haven't figured out yet. We can't really say like who it's gonna be because it's too ambiguous right now. Like we need more chapters. But
Oda, please, I beg you. Oda, I don't care what the story is, make it a Sharingan. Just watch these niggas. Like, just imagine Zoro's like, what?
Well, I mean, shoot. I mean, it's gonna be something like that, which whenever it comes to Zoro.
What if he got a ringed eye?
Oh, wait, you're talking about Zoro, right? Please.
Yeah.
Yes, that is exactly what he's gonna get. That is exactly what he's gonna get.
Oh Lord.
And it parallels back to Mihawk. Mihawk, of course, he has this soul within his body. He has ringed eyes, right? Which is also what we're seeing with multiple people like Cavendish and Hakuba. Hakuba has this soul within his body because what has he had since he was a kid? That sword.
Lord.
Okay.
Wait,
Mihawk.
who's Hakuba?
Hakuba is
Hakuba, the blonde guy with the hat. And the horse.
Like back
Two
in
personalities.
Oh,
Dressrosa.
Yeah.
Cavendish.
Yeah, exactly. Cavendish. Hakuba is just pretty much like an alter ego, essentially. But whenever they come together, they get those ringed eyes. Just like how Mihawk.
And two different colors, too.
Yes, exactly. Because they're not in unison with each other. That's why they don't have the same colored eyes. They're pretty much battling ideals within themselves. But whenever it comes to Mihawk and Yoru, which is his sword, they are one and the same. They're pretty much coincided with each other. The sword that I'm hopefully going to be right on is it's going to be Wando Ichimonji, because that will relate back to Kawina.
But you know what my next question is, though? It would be, why would it be just one eye? Why is it just one eye?
No, it's going to be both. It's going to be both because it has to be in unison. It's not just going to be that one eye. The only reason why he actually has that eye closed is because it also just relates to the fact of how we see multiple people with like a scar over their left eye. That's all.
Oh, so you believe he just has a scar over there now?
Yes, but he's going to be able to open that eye regardless. And it's going to be in both eyes because it's going to relate to how he's going to defeat Mihawk. Because if he doesn't have those ringed eyes, he's cooked. He's not beating Mihawk without him.
Okay. Oh, but you mentioned Quina, though. And I wanted to actually, this is a fact I had discarded at the beginning of the show because I was going to bring it up at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to run it by everybody now. So while I was scrolling through my research and whatnot, I found that like in Japanese culture, that a way they announce somebody's unaliving themselves, you know what I'm saying? Like committed, is by saying that they fell down the stairs, just so you don't have to say it.
I saw that theory already. I saw that.
Yeah, so I was like, could it be possible? Because that would make sense as far as just like just the whole.
It has to be true.
Huh?
I would say it has to be true because I mean, shoot, she wanted to be the strongest swordsman, but I was about to say her mom.
And just the durability in One Piece. You're not telling me you died from stairs, bro. Like what?
Nah, yeah, they had to do something of that caliber because it don't make sense. They don't even have actual stairs within that house.
They don't even have actual stairs.
They don't even have actual stairs. So it's like it had to be something else from that regard. So it's just like it makes a lot of sense. And also it relates to essentially like her name pretty much, or Zoro reaching like Kawina's name within the heavens. But of course they would pretty much be meshing together essentially with the ring guys.
Wait, so let's map this out here, right?
Okay.
Because we got a lot of villains that still need to be dealt with.
Mm-hmm. Are they villains?
Huh?
Is everybody villains though?
I feel yes to our protagonist. Yes. One, Sabo still got unfinished business with Teach for what happened to Ace.
But dude, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, are they villains? Because sometimes there are villains that within the story you just kind of have to get over the grudge, maybe, because you have to work with them.
No, it's not gonna work with Sabo, bro. It's not.
Yeah, it's not happening.
It's not.
Sabo wants Blackbeard bad.
So is Sabo dying? Because Blackbeard's
Sabo's
not dying.
No, again, Dragon's my favorite character, but I do have him dying at the end of this story.
So yeah, that's what I'm about to say. So we still gotta deal with somebody gotta fight Blackbeard. Somebody gotta fight Emu, which you said is gonna be Blackbeard. Somebody gotta fight Akainu still.
Luffy.
Oh, I know exactly who's gonna fight Akainu.
Tell us, give us the answers, bro. Give us the answers.
All right, so one, it's gonna be a parallel of ideals whenever we're seeing like the justice aspect that I was talking about earlier with Dragon and the reasons on why he's my favorite character. So they're gonna have a clash. But the person that's really going to like actually be like head on fighting him ideally is Fujitora. That's who I have actually fighting Akainu.
I knew you was gonna say that.
Really?
It makes sense.
I was gonna interrupt you, but I didn't want to interrupt you.
Oh no, then shoot, we on the same wavelength then. Look at
no,
that.
it makes sense. And I'm saying like just Fujitora. I mean, this was actually gonna be an episode at some point, but Fujitora, if we were to rank the admirals, why is that nigga randomly up there? And we just recently got from the SPS a confirmation that he had the Supreme Great Sword too. Like that man is like that.
Like, because again, Akainu's going to be tweaking out during this final war because it's like, one, he really thought that like the Gorison members were just the end all be all because he don't know about Emu. So once he sees this, he's going to be like, nah, bro, nah. And then we already know that he has this version of thorough justice. So of course he's already like taken out innocence regardless of whatever the case is because he sees this warped perception of how he sees justice. So that's going to be that ideal.
So who's taking out Blackbeard?
Who's taking out
That's not to be after Emu.
Oh, so yeah, it's going to be the entire crew because it's going to parallel to how they beat Ors. I forgot to add that part. My fault. It's going to be the entire crew. Just like how Whitebeard got jumped, Blackbeard's going to get jumped. And it's going to parallel right back to one Marineford and also how they did Ors back in Thriller Bark.
So was he getting jumped by all the Straw Hats and Sabo?
I think Sabo's going to get his licks in for real. Honestly, I'm kind of biased though. I'm kind of biased for Sabo, but it's definitely going to be the crew though. I have the crew.
So I'm looking at the third part of what's behind me, are we saying that Blackbeard takes this place?
Well, that would be the version of like the Ancient Kingdom during like the Second War, or I said the Second War. Yeah, the Second World. My fault. Goodness gracious. So that would essentially be that regard. That's also why whenever you look at the very bottom, like the First World would ideally be about nuclear warfare. So like near the bottom, I found the atomic bomb within the mural. It's like pretty much near down like the people in hell. But yeah, we have the atomic.
Oh wait, I actually meant to point this way. My bad. I just realized that.
No, but yeah. So like literally we have the version of the atomic bomb. The First World would essentially be like about nuclear warfare. And then they were also worshiping the Serpent of Hellfire, which is our moon god. This is why we have Sulong forms within the show. This is why we have heavy relations with the Minks. This is also why the people in Skypiea, they were worshiping snakes because they were also worshiping Goku within the First World. So just like how Kashugami was also revered as the sun god, right? By the people of the Skypiea, in which that was that girl that was being sacrificed. But we already know that that's not our sun god.
Yeah.
So what Loki looks at himself as the sun god, but he's ideally
he believes it, yeah.
Of the moon god. This is why I parallel him to be that or have this fruit.
Okay, that makes sense. But still one answer remains. One One Piece. Are you about to tell me it's a comic book, a children's comic book too? Is that what you're about to tell me?
I don't think look, I'll keep it 1,000. It's not no picture book. It's nothing that like people. It's not a theory that I've seen yet, and I don't really look at theories like that. But it's not something that I've heard. And people ask me all the time like what I think the One Piece is, and I mean, shoot, me and Quill have a good grasp on it. I think we have a good grasp on it. I think people are gonna like the One Piece if I'm correct, honestly. If I'm correct, because of course I can be wrong too.
Okay.
It's that true love conquers all. That's what everything's I promise you.
I would say, shoot, if you really want to know the answer to the One Piece, it would be in chapter 301 or episode 194. It's whenever Nico Robin goes up to the bell. So like you just have to read in between the lines and then you'll get your answer for what the One Piece is. I tell people this all the time.
Hey, I love how he just put the mystery in there instead of telling them the answer. I love that. I love that shit. Yes, sir. I'm gonna be sure to milk that when it comes to
look at. If you want to take the time to look at episode 194 or chapter 301, either one works. Again, they still give that same regard. Just listening to what Nico Robin was saying to us and that will be the answer for what the One Piece is.
Man, look, bro. Honestly, if I can't keep it a buck, this can't go on until tomorrow, 8. But unfortunately, we got to put an end to it at some point. And yeah, we've been going way over time. I just love this, man. And then big shout out to you and the work that you do. Big shout out to Monkey D Quill. Big shout out to Saiga, Tiberius the Runner. Big shout out to Grand Line Review. You feel me? O'Hara. All of y'all, like, we are just a podcast. Like I said, we are a big fan of anime. We're a big fan of anime content creator. You feel me? So we go out, branch out, we watch out every day, and then we just mash up everything and just come in here and just try to share with the conversationalists. You feel me? We definitely appreciate you for coming here, taking the time to literally, like, break this down, bro. Like, we have never, I don't think that all three of us, like, we've been theorizing for a while, but we never had this kind of theory and this kind of concepts just laid out for us like that. You feel me? We really, really appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time to come in. And I also want you to just take the time real quick, let them know where they can find you. You feel me? Or your socials.
I mean, most people will probably already know me anyway. I mean, shoot, it's just Dracula, of course. I mean, like people say, you know, I have some very out there theories, but I mean, as of right now, I haven't got one wrong yet. So,
yes, sir.
So it's pretty ideal. Outside of that, though, I do appreciate coming up here, just talking with you guys, all those different types of things. I've also seen you guys just on TikTok overall. I've seen like the comments of like pretty much like Shinra versus Goku or whatever the case is. I think it was crazy. I think it was crazy whenever y'all were saying like Goku is definitely faster, but like, hey, I think it's Shinra personally. But you know,
hey, man,
yeah,
man,
I'm keeping it straight 1,000. Like, like Shinra again. There's no race. Like it's incomparable. But outside of that, though, I really enjoyed coming up here talking with you guys. It was definitely fun.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you so much, man. Once again, and everybody that's been tuning in to us today live, we appreciate y'all for, you know, sticking with us that long. If you're watching this recording or on the podcast, thank you so much. Y'all be sure to subscribe. Share this with your friends, man. As y'all see, we brought in a lot of crazy theories. We brought in a lot of answers. And y'all be sure to go follow this man, because obviously this is just the beginning. We're finally getting to the finale of One Piece, and he got all the answers, like I said. So you might want to. What you said?
Look, we have about, all right, I'll give us this. We have about 4 arcs.
Okay.
We have 4 arcs. We have Marijois, which is what we're about to go to next. We have Lodestar. Essentially this final war, and then we have Laugh Tale. So that's 4.
Man, gave you a rundown.
Ideally how I see it.
It's tough. 4 arcs. That's about 5 more years.
Yeah, we have about a good 5 years.
Honestly, that just brings me a little bit of comfort, because I thought that we probably had like 2 years or so left, and I was just a little sad about it.
It's a good about 5. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, good.
We have
good.
About
I like that.
5. I'm not even gonna flash, because again,
I don't mind another 10. Like, keep it a buck with y'all.
It's not even possible for him to wrap this up in 2 years, especially how he's trying to explain every nitty-gritty detail, how he's trying to. Again, like, I mean, that's also why he says that he hates theorists that are actually correct. It's funny.
You saw that guy that retired in Japan, bro?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, ball, dog, you gonna do it like that? But hey, love is love, respect is respect, and I feel like, you know, that came from a deep place. So yeah, it is what it is.
You gonna be at DreamCon?
Shoot, I'm gonna be in. Well, actually, I don't even think I'm gonna be able to go, because I'm gonna be in Bahrain. I think during that time, because I'm gonna be over Middle East. Yeah, so I mean, hopefully I'll be back for it though. So that's the hope.
Well, if you're watching this, you know who will be at DreamCon. The boys. So come say what's up. You feel me? Come say what's up. You know what I'm saying? But this has been the same combo, man. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. Y'all be sure to like, subscribe, and share this with your friends. And most importantly, man, send this to your grandmama. You feel me? She gonna find me. She gonna find her One Piece. Don't worry about that. See y'all next week.